Hey everyone, I'm going to take a look at the new Champions League Player of the Week selection on eFootball. I've already done a review this morning of the regular Player of the Week selection that's live on the channel if you want to check it out. For this one, as always, I'll put timestamps in the description, so if you want to hear about particular players, click on the description, there'll be a link to take you straight to them. So, this time we have one 4-star, 10 5-stars, and there's just one 4-star, and that is Hatate from Celtic. So, Hatate has been in a regular Player of the Week selection before. That one could play as a left winger. This one can't. And that one had more pace and dribbling, but this one's got a lot more passing. Unwavering form, as I think he always does. There's been a nominating contract version of Hatate quite a while back. I think that was a 3-star card, so not quite as good. And this one, again, has better passing than that one, especially. We've got our face scan, of course, because he's Japanese. He's a whole player. Outside of not having left wing, which is, I think it was just that Player of the Week one that had left wing. The rest of his, all the other versions of Hatate, I think, are the same as this one. Centre mid, attacking mid, left back. I don't know why he's got left back. I've never seen him play left back, but centre mid or attacking mid, whole player will be active as a playing style in both those positions. Compared to his GP card, what have we got? We've got a bit more awareness, finishing, physicals and balance. They've taken a bit of speed away for some reason and a bit of kicking power. But yeah, apart from that, it's a decent boost across the board, really. He's all right on the ball, not brilliant, but that passing's nice. Low pass 90 is fantastic. Let's have a look at the skills. And yes, we do have one-touch pass and through passing, so he's got some very nice passing. What have they added here? I think they've added chop turn and possibly fighting spirit. Scissors feint is gone. We've got soul control, it's nice. Long range curler, long range shooting, good. Obviously the passing, as I mentioned, one-touch pass and through passing. Outside curler is a nice one to have. So yeah, his finishing isn't amazing. So even with the long range curler, long range shooting, you won't have a brilliant shot on him, but it certainly could be worse. As long as you don't ask too much from him, he should be perfectly capable of scoring goals now and then. But the passing is the main strength of this guy. 90 low pass, one-touch pass and through passing. He's not brilliant elsewhere. As I mentioned, he's okay on the ball. He's not brilliant, not too bad, just kind of okay. The attacking awareness is okay. I'd like a little bit more on a whole player. Shame they're taking a bit of speed away, but pace is pretty average on the whole. Kicking power, again, they're taking a bit away, but it's still decent. As I mentioned, they boosted his physicals a bit. So he's not the strongest. He's a little guy, but they boosted that bit, so it certainly could be worse. And then the balance is nice, 87. That's pushing up towards 90. I'm not sure it's going to quite hit 90 with the game plan boost, but it's getting towards it. Stamina 86, it's not bad, but on a whole player, he's probably going to get tired late in the game, so that's something to be mindful of. On the whole, this is a 4-star card. He doesn't have the defensive skills there to really back up those kind of not so great defensive attributes, so I wouldn't personally play him as a centre mid, but if you've got one or two defensive midfielders behind him, you can get away with that. But whether he's a centre mid or ideally an attacking mid with the whole player playing style, pushing forward, getting into good attacking positions, mainly with the passing for creating chances, he's certainly got some qualities. For a 4-star, I think he's quite decent, but it is a 4-star, and outside of the passing, he's pretty average, to be honest. So for Celtic fans or for Japanese players of the game, I think it's probably be quite a nice card to pick up. And for a 4-star, he is decent, but if you're not a fan of Celtic, if you're not Japanese, then he's not the most exciting card, really. Now we have Zeno Debast from Sporting. So I predicted this guy was going to be in, and I predicted it would be purely for the goal he scored, and that's exactly what we've got with this card. We've got a card for a centre-back where all they've really done is boost his ability to shoot from range. So first things first, to compare to other versions, he's always a build-up. We've had a previous trainable one. I'm not sure what pack that was in, to be honest, but it was pretty similar to this one. But compared to his GP card, he's a tiny bit worse at defending, just a slight reduction in his defending ability. But they have put a bit of a boost on his pace, on his physical contact, his stamina. He's on the ball and passing have been boosted a bit as well. But as I mentioned, the one thing they've done with this card, they've basically given us a pretty regular version of Debast, but with the ability to score from range, because he scored an absolute rocket in their Champions League match. So finishing, big boost. Kicking power, big boost. And in the skills, they've added long range shooting, rising shots, and first time shot. So exactly what you'd expect. So it's Debast as you expect him to be, just you can hit long range shots this time. So, you know, his finishing at 70 is not amazing, but for a centre back, you can't really complain. And with those skills there, certainly if he goes forward for corners, pops up with a, you know, an opportunity to shoot inside the box, he could be perfectly capable of scoring a few goals for you that way. And with the long range shots, yeah, like I say, the finishing attribute's not brilliant, but better than most centre-backs. But he's already got heading, he's got interception, sliding tackle, acrobatic clearance, but as a centre-back, he is lacking some. Aerial superiority, man marking, blocker, I think those are the three he's really lacking. Weighted passing, lofted pass are nice, and he does have fairly nice passing attributes for a centre-back, that's good, but yeah, with a few defensive skills lacking. He's 6'2", no aerial superiority though, and 79 jumping, so I think, you know, physically strong, but in the air he's not going to be dominant. He might come up short against the big physical strikers. And with those defensive attributes, the engagement's too low for me. The other ones are kind of okay, but lacking a few defensive skills and not being better with the defensive attributes, not being too dominant in the air. He's got qualities. He could be fun with the shooting ability they've given him, but ultimately for me, I don't think he's going to get in too many people's teams unless you're a Sporting fan. So yeah, again, he's got some qualities, but it's not an amazing card. Now we have Yıldız from Juventus. So got an interesting one now because we've got a booster. Normally a creative playmaker. He's got the usual positions, but they've made him a prolific winger. They've also given him left midfield semi-proficient. So again, seen this with a few cards today. They've given him a position where he's semi-proficient, and it's a card where you can't position train him. So that's utterly useless. Thanks, Konami. We've had a couple of decent versions of Yıldız. We've had one from a Turkey pack, which I've got, and there's one from one of those legend boxes. I would say both are slightly better than this, but one thing this version of Yıldız has over both those trainable ones is a whole bunch of skills. So they've added double touch, flip flap, soul control, so he can suddenly do the ball roll double touch. The dribblers will love that. They've also given him long range shooting, and they're giving him one touch pass. So we've actually got a pretty good selection of skills in this guy now. We've got some skills for the dribblers, long range curler, long range shooting coming off the left flank onto his right foot, accurate finishing as well, and then one touch pass along with through passing, which he already had, and he's a super sub. Pretty good selection of skills there for the dribbling, for the end product, and a super sub. Nice. He does have a booster, as I mentioned. Inconsistent form, just notice that. It's not great. But let's hit that booster. Where does it go? It goes ball control, dribbling, finishing, balance. Okay, so compared to his GP card then, before the boost, he's worse on the ball. They've made him worse on the ball than his GP card. But when you get the full boost, when he's on A form, he's about the same overall on the ball. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, yeah, I'm not too sure. His attacking awareness is down a little bit from his GP card, but they have boosted him in a bunch of places. His passing had a bit of a boost, his finishing's had a boost, even before the A form boost. Speed's up a bit, kicking power's up a bit, balance is up a bit, stamina's up a bit. So yeah, one of those ones where it's a weird one. They've kind of nerfed him on the ball unless you get the A form boost. But apart from that, they have boosted him in a bunch of areas. Prolific winger might be a play style that you prefer if you play him as a left winger. He's got reasonable pace. He's going to be decent on the ball, especially with the boost. He's got a bit of end product with the skills and with his finishing especially. Be careful with the passing. Don't ask too much of him, but one touch passing, through passing will certainly help. Good curl there, 87. Kicking power's over 80, so yeah. His long range curlers, now that he's got long range curler, should have a decent long range curler on him. So off that left flank, again, he's not an amazing card. You know, he's not got electric pace. He's not got amazing balance. He's not amazing on the ball. He's just kind of quite good in a bunch of these areas. So it's, yeah, I think it's a quite good card, really. It might come down to the playing style. The additional skills are a big boost compared to other versions of him. But outside of that, it might come down to the playing style. If you want to use this guy as a left winger, you might prefer this version as a prolific wing with the added skills. But the previous versions, especially the Turkey pack and the trainable one, creative playmaker, that playstyle is active attacking mid and SS, and you can make him pretty nice as a playmaker in those two positions. Those positions will not have an active playing style with this card, which is not a problem necessarily, but it just might come down to preference. So yeah, it's another card where we've got some qualities there, and there's plenty of good things about this card. I think there'll be plenty of people, especially Juventus fans, will be very pleased with this card. But yeah, it's pros and cons. You might prefer other versions of him. He might not be your cup of tea, and it's not amazing by any means, but he is pretty good in a bunch of areas. I think certainly if you get this card, you can get some good use out of him. And now we have another Endrick. So they've just added an Endrick in the Spanish League pack as a trainable version. He's just been in Player of the Week either last week or the week before as well. So 3 featured Endricks already this season. There are obviously people spending coins on him. So he's got his new face scan. Deep lying forward, which is his regular playing style. He's pretty similar to the previous player of the week, to be honest. This has a booster though. We'll activate that in a moment, but he's pretty similar to the previous player of the week one. That previous player of the week one from a week or two ago was a fox in the box though. So that playing style comes down to personal preference. But also that player of the week one had super sub. And it also had his, I think he had his weaker foot boosted on that previous player of the week card as well. So a couple of other things that card's got over this one. But yeah, this is a decent version of him. Skill wise, they've added knuckle shot, long range shooting, and fighting spirit. We've already got first line shot, correct finishing, heading. So decent selection of skills there. But again, I've said this about the trainable one in the La Liga pack. He's a deep lying forward, no passing skills. His passing attributes are not good. It's not a great match for me. He's not built for that playing style. He's really built for either poacher or fox in the box, to be honest. So it's not to say it's a bad card. It's just for me personally, I don't see how I'd really get this guy, you know, get some real value out of this guy playing as a centre forward with that playing style, with the attributes balanced as they are, and you can't train these players either. We'll activate their boost though. So what does the boost give us? Bit better ball control. Finishing goes up to 90 before your game plan boost. That's great. Kicking power 91 before your game plan boost. That is very interesting. Physical contact boost. Okay, so he's got decent physical contact for a little guy. It's not brilliant, but a lot better than it could have been. Balance 79 could have been better. Comparing to his GP card, yeah, they've really nerfed his dexterity. So attacking awareness down to 82. That's the same as I think Nunez that we looked at in the worldwide player of the week this morning. So attacking awareness at 82, that's been nerfed. That's a real shame. Balance has been nerfed as well. That's down to 79. And the other of the three dexterity attributes, acceleration, that's been nerfed down to 85. So a real shame those three crucial attributes have been nerfed, but he has been boosted elsewhere across the board. It's a decent boost. He is obviously a better version than his GP card, even with those three attributes being nerfed for some bizarre reason. But yeah, for me, if you want a version of Endrick, I think, to be honest, you want to get the trainable one from the Spanish pack, to be honest. Granted, I mean, if you spin for him on this pack, if you don't get it from the free spin, you've only got 3 attempts, that's 300 coins. You might get him in 300 coins, the Spanish League pack. You're guaranteed to get him if you spin enough, but that might be 11 spins, so that might be over 1,000 coins. So yeah, it's up to you whether you want to risk this pack or that one. But certainly if I'm choosing between the two, I would choose the one from the Spanish League pack because you can train him. And I just think you probably need to shuffle these attributes around to really get the most of them as a deep lying forward. But if you don't mind, you know, this version of Endrick with the attributes as they are as a deep lying forward, could be a very nice card if you can make it work for you. Just for me with the playing style, and especially with those 3 dexterity attributes being nerfed from his GP card, it's just not as great a version of Endrick as I would have liked it to be. And next we have Youri Tielemans. So box to box centre mid. He can play defensive mid, centre mid, attacking mid. Same positions and playing style as he always has. I don't think any of the other kind of core details have changed with this guy. We've had a couple of trainable versions from Legend boxes which are a bit better than this one. And there's one from a Belgian national team pack, I think it was, which is about the same as this one overall. Comparing it to his GP card, I think his finishing's been boosted a bit. His physicals have been boosted a little bit. The physical jumping and stuff. Technicals up a little bit as well. So yeah, so it's a fair boost. It's a decent version of Tielemans. Skills haven't changed. I don't see any change there. So got your long range shooting, your first time shot, and then you got your one touch pass, through passing, weighted pass, no look pass, if you like that sort of thing. We've got interception as well. So he's kind of got the bare minimum defensively. He's not got great defensive attributes. Only 71 tackling especially concerns me. He does have interception. So again, it's one of these players where, you know, I wouldn't even think about playing on defensive mid without more defensive ability. But as a centre mid, if you've got 1 or 2 defensive mids behind him taking all the defensive responsibility, you could certainly get away with him. His main strengths are obviously going forward. He could do a job as an attacking mid without an active playing style. And the attacking range is okay, if not brilliant. On the ball, he's pretty tidy. And obviously the passing, that's really the main strength of Tielemans. He's got really good passing, 92 low pass. He's got the passing skills to back up as well. Finishing 75 on a centre mid or attacking mid is okay, and he's got a couple of shooting skills as well. So yeah, getting forward with this guy, his attacking ability is really where his main strengths lie. Defensively, a little bit lacking. He's not the quickest. Got a bit of physical contact on him, but the balance I would like to be higher, and the stamina on the box-to-box centre mid is a bit low as well, so he's going to get tired second half. So yeah, there's a few negatives there with this guy. He is technically very sound though. He's got a very nice passing, so if you play into his strengths, you could certainly get some value out of him. But there's a few weaknesses there as well, and we have had a couple of slightly better versions of him. So again, not the most exciting card, but you could certainly get some use out of him. And he's got some qualities as a centre mid or even as an attacking mid. Now we have our goalkeeper, and it's Big Yann. Well, not so Big Yann, because he's not particularly a big goalkeeper, and he's only got 80 for reach. But this is always the problem with Yann Sommer. He's not the tallest, he's not the reachiest, but he does always have the qualities though, with the awareness and the reflexes. He is a great shot stopper. He just doesn't have the greatest of coverage of his goal. We've had a fair few versions of Yann Sommer previously, to be honest. The best version we've had was a nominating contract one. I think it was some kind of, what was it called, like International Stars or something? I think a kind of black and red design. I picked that one up, and I'm really glad I did, and I'm glad I kept hold of it even after his contract expired, because it's a really good card. It's the best version of Sommer we've had. It was also an attacking goalkeeper, which I like. This is a defensive goalkeeper card. All his other versions are defensive goalkeepers apart from that nominating contract one, as far as I recall. But behind that nominating contract one, this is pretty much, I would say, joint best with the previous Champions League Player of the Week, because he was in a previous Champions League Player of the Week pack. And it's around about the same as this one. Like I say, you've got the great awareness and reflexes. Reach is a big issue with this guy, but the catching and powering are okay. So, and unwavering form as well. And we got low punt and long throw. So, yeah, a great shot stopper. He's just not got the best reach. That's essentially what he's dealing with here. For me, I would always prefer, if I've got a bunch of goalies on form, if I've got a good enough goalie who's got reach and they don't really have any obvious weaknesses, I'll pick them over Sommer. But if someone's my highest rated keeper who's got form, certainly the version I've got, I'd have no problem playing him. He's done brilliant for me. This one, not quite as good as the one I've got, the nominating contract one, but still could be usable. It's just that reach is a bit of a concern. So if you need goalkeeper options, could be worth having. Just depends on what goalies you've got, really. But outside of the reach, he's certainly a very good shot stopper. And next we have Vanderson, who is a right back who played at left back against Barcelona. Had a very good game there. So they've obviously added left back. They've also very generously given us left midfield semi-proficient. So that's completely useless because you can't position train these cards. They've done it on a few cards today. But we've got left back at least, and he's always got right back. Sometimes has right midfield. Not all of the different versions of Vanderson got right midfield, but we've got it on this one. But he is very much a fullback, you know. You see technically there, I'm not going to talk much about using this guy as a right winger because he's not got the ability going forward really. But as a fullback, we're looking at a guy who can play right back or left back. They've boosted his weaker foot slightly, so that's good. About two previous Player of the Week cards in regular Player of the Week packs of Vanderson, and they're both pretty comparable to this one. Not a great difference, except for the left back position being added here. There was a nominating contract version quite a while back now, but that wasn't quite on the same level as this one. In terms of his skills, they've given him weighted pass, low lofted pass, and interception. So nice to have a couple of passing ones there. Interception is the most important one because that's a really essential skill for a fullback. I'm glad they've added that. Would have been nice in an ideal world for him to get pinpoint crossing. He does have 84 lofted pass, which is good, but pinpoint crossing does make a difference. That would have been good. So a bit of a shame there, but he does at least have a decent lofted pass attribute, and he's got weighted pass, low lofted pass. First time shot he already has as well, so that could be handy, I guess, in some scenarios. Double touch for the dribblers. Fighting spirit's good. But yeah, in terms of the attributes, comparing him to his GP card, the one real annoyance here, there so often seems to be something annoying they've done with these Player of the Week and Player of the Month cards. They've reduced his kicking power by 8. Why? Like, what? Why? So we've got 8 less kicking power than normal. They've taken 4 points off his speed and put them on acceleration. So speed's down by 4, acceleration's up by 4. Don't know why, whatever. But in terms of the positives, on the ball he's a bit better. Lofted pass has had a bit of a boost. Set pieces has had a bit of a boost, of course. Defensive awareness up a bit. So yeah, you've got a kind of decent attacking fullback here. You know, the pace is pretty decent. Physical contact's pretty decent. Balance is a bit on the low side for me. Stamina's fine. That's hitting 90 with the game plan boost, as is speed. Defensive, 3 of these defensives hitting 80 with the game plan boost. Just the engagement doesn't quite. Bit of a shame, but on the whole, he's decent defensively. On the ball, again, your ball control and dribbling are going to hit the 80 mark with your game plan boost. Tight possession, not quite so great. Low pass, would like a little bit more. I'd like that to hit the 80 mark, but it's not far off. And lofted pass is obviously good, albeit he doesn't have pinpoint crossing. So yeah, he's got a decent set of skills that have been added. Interception's the important one. And he's got some decent attributes here. So I don't think this is a bad card. Certainly the fact you can play him at left back as well as right back means it's a useful version of him. And yeah, I think useful is probably the word for this card. It could be a useful one to have as a fullback and play on either side. I just, again, don't think it's a particularly amazing card. But if you like this guy, if you're a Monaco fan, certainly there are qualities there. And it's a very usable attacking fullback. And now we have an interesting one. So we've had quite a few versions of Ibrahima Konaté. Only one previous one was a destroyer. That was World Cup Player of the Week one. So they've made him a destroyer again. All other previous versions apart from that World Cup one have been a build-up. This guy is pretty much on a par with most of the previous versions. He's one of the better ones. The one in the penalty pack from the Didier Drogba pack, there's one in there which I span that immediately after spinning one from the 100 player pack from the contract renewals. So I got 2 Konatés in a row, but that one in the penalty game and also one that was in the Premier League pack, they fully boosted in the game plan are slightly better than this one, but when you activate the booster on this one jumps past them and becomes slightly better than them. So depending on whether the booster is active, it's like I say, either way it's roughly on a par with those two. It's a pretty good version of him. That what you find with all the different versions of Konaté is that some of them are a little bit better defensively than this one. Some of them are a bit better kind of technically or a bit better pace. There's different attributes. They've kind of shuffled them around a little bit. With this one, the defensives aren't quite so great, but the big advantage with this card over other Konatés is that he's got the best jumping. They've really boosted his jumping. Even before the booster, I think he's got pretty much the best jumping of any Konaté, unless you've trained one to just be a defensive monster. But I don't think you would have realistically made any of the previous versions better at jumping than this one. But with the A-form boost especially, that jumping goes to 86. He's about 6'4", so he's a big dude, and he's not just tall, he's big, he's well built, he's got great physical contact. So in the air, especially on A-form, this guy's going to be a beast. That's the one thing with this version of Konaté. This is the version of Konaté you want if you want Konaté to be great in the air. Unwavering form as well. They've, regardless of the boost, they've boosted it, they've increased his jumping from his GP card and also his stamina. They put a bit more on his technicals as well. They give him a big boost on his finishing. And yeah, with defensively they've taken a little bit off, so he's a little bit worse defensively than he normally is. And in terms of the skills, what they've done, they've added heading, so that's good. He doesn't normally have heading, and they've also added blocker. So yeah, again, 2 skills there he doesn't normally have. Those are 2 very good additions. So we've got heading and aerial superiority. This is the best aerial version of Konaté, comfortably. And then man marking, interception, now blocker as well, sliding tackle, acrobatic clearance. If you like the destroyer playing style and you don't mind the fact that they've just slightly reduced his defensive attributes, this could be a really good version of Konaté for you. For me personally, I prefer build up. And I think he's just about strong enough in the air, the other versions of him. So for me, I'm not too keen on this one. But if you really do want a version of Konaté who's great in the air, you like that destroyer playing style, this could be a really nice version of Konaté for you. This might be the one. But like I say, on the whole, the different versions of Konaté, some of them are a bit better here, a bit better there. It just depends which version. But on the whole, this is pretty much on par with the better versions. And the way they boost them in the air could be very interesting for a lot of people. Yeah, my controller's died. There we go. And now we have Michael Olise. I was expecting him in the regular Player of the Week pack, but they put him in the Champions League one. This is our first whole player, Michael Olise. So previously he's always been a creative playmaker. This time we've got a whole player. That playing style will be active right midfield, centre mid, attacking mid. If you play him as a wide forward, left or right, he will not have an active playing style. He can still play those positions though. We've had a Showtime version of Olise that was better than this one, but this is about as good as we've had of him otherwise. Generally, versions of Olise tend to have better passing than this. This version we had a bit more of a boost on the awareness and the finishing, so he's very much more of a kind of winger who's going to be scoring goals for you. They've not focused so much on the passing. The Showtime version was weighted more this way though. That was also one that was more kind of weighted towards the awareness and finishing and not so much the passing. That was more of a winger as well. But the other versions of them that we've had and the GP one, like I say, they're more about the passing. There is more passing on the GP one. So 5 lower on low pass I think we are, and 3 lower on lofty pass compared to the GP card. He lost a bit of stamina and kicking power as well. but they have boosted his speed, as I mentioned, his awareness. On the ball, he's a little bit better as well, and his finishing is up by 8 actually from his GP card, which is great. So yeah, it's one of these cards, you know, I will criticize some of these cards because some of the things they do when they nerf certain attributes, it's really annoying. It doesn't really make sense. But with this one, I think we can accept the way they've done it. I think they've just shuffled them around in a way that does make sense. I think it's a pretty interesting looking version of Olise, certainly attribute wise. And then skill wise, we've lost cut behind and turn, dipping shot, and low lofted pass. And they've added first time shot, which is great. And then interestingly, they've added heading and aerial superiority. So they have boosted the jumping and physical a bit, jumping 61, physical 64, heading 61, and heading and aerial superiority. So normally he's absolutely terrible in the air, but they've boosted him now, so he's been increased to, I would say, really bad in the air. So that's not great. But yeah, marginally less awful in the air, but more importantly, we've still got long range curler. That's a great one to have. So if you do play him as a right winger, left footed, cutting inside, great skill to have. Hits and long range curlers with this guy, especially with that boost to his finishing and first time shot as well. Heel trick's a nice one, as his outside curler. We've got through passing, we've got pinpoint crossing as well. We don't have one touch pass. That's a bit of a shame. That's probably the one skill I think we're missing here the most. But on the whole, yes, they've nerfed his passing. So I wouldn't use this guy through the middle. I don't think his passing is good enough. You could use him left wing. He's got crossing, but lofted pass, yes, it is 80 with the game plan boost, but I don't think his crossing is going to be great. I think this guy is very much going to be best on the right wing. Whether you're playing without an active playing style as a right wing forward, or whether you're playing right midfield as a whole player, I think as a whole player, especially right midfield, with that high attacking awareness, good on the ball, that good finishing with the long range curler and first time shot, decent pace, decent balance. Yeah, I think this is a good version of Olise. I've got I think a lot of us have probably got the one from the point store. It's been pretty neat for me, but I like my Olise to be a right winger, cutting inside and kind of focusing more on trying to score goals, not so much playmaking through the middle. So this would really suit me. If you prefer the playmaking Olise with the passing, great. Then whatever version you got is probably better than this one. But this one as a whole player right wing, cutting in and getting into good positions and being able to score goals for you, I think it's a pretty good card. It's an interesting looking card, and I'll be quite pleased if I got this. And now we have yet another Griezmann card. So we've got a whole player version of Griezmann. He's got the usual positions. There's been a previous whole player, the legend card. I got that from the France pack. That I got right midfield as well. There may have been 1 or 2 other previous whole players. There have been a lot of versions of Griezmann. This is pretty similar, to be honest. The overall kind of level of this card is pretty much on a par with most of the good versions of Griezmann that we've had, apart from that legend that was better. And there might have been a trainer one slightly better, but it's pretty much there or thereabouts. They're giving a bit of a boost to his passing and to his physicals. Whose weaker foot's been boosted up to very high accuracy, so that's good. So he's a two-footed version of Griezmann. They made him semi-proficient at centre midfield, so again, a trending card with an extra semi-proficient position, which we can't position train. Thanks for that. But yeah, like I say, the physicals and the passing boosted a bit. He's two-footed, so it's an interesting one. I don't know if they've done anything with his skills. I don't see any differences there. Got first time shot, got through passing, pinpoint crossing, acrobatic finishing. So there's your end product. So he's got a bit of end product with the skills, and then heel trick's a nice one. Rising shot, chip shot control, sombrero double touch. Yeah, he's got a nice section of skills there. I would like one touch pass in there. I'd like long range curler as well. I don't think he's got the pace to play as a wide man. You could get away with him as a centre forward, mid 80s for awareness and finishing. So you could get away with him as a centre forward without an active playing style. But I think if they boosted his passing, it would be a shame not to use him as either attacker mid or an SS behind the attack, creating chances. He's got good passing for that area of the pitch. Not amazing, but good. He's got through passing, and he's got good shooting as well. With 86 finishing, with first time shot. It'd be nice if he had long range shooting as well, but he kind of it all. So yeah, is it the best version of Griezmann? No, but it's definitely up there. It's on a par with most of the good ones. I'd like a bit more balance, a bit more stamina as well, a bit more pace. There's a few things I like a bit more of, but he's technically very tidy on the ball. He's got very good awareness. He's got very good finishing for an attack mid or an SS. Pretty much any of his positions except striker, really, where you probably want a bit more finishing. And they have boosted his passing a bit. So yeah, it's not too exciting for me because I've got the legend version, so I don't need this one. It's not as good as the one I've got. But if you don't have a good version of Griezmann, it's certainly a good one. You could do a lot worse. It's a pretty good card on the whole. And we finish up with a left back. We've got Nuno Mendes from PSG. So he's pretty much on the par with the previous Player of the Week card that we had. But we have had a couple of trainable versions of Nuno Mendes, I would guess, from Legend boxes. And they are a bit better than this. And of course, they are trainable. Comparing him to his GP card, they've taken a bit of his pace away. We've lost a bit of his speed and acceleration. But they boosted his jumping and his physical contact. And this left column, all the way down here, pretty much down to finishing, really. You've had a pretty nice boost across all of these. There's not a lot added to lofted pass, but the rest have had a nice boost. So yeah, it's a pretty good version of Mendes. Not the best, but a pretty good one. But on a left back, I want more defensively. It's often the concern with Nuno Mendes. The low aggression I can handle, low defensive engagement. 69, that sucks. That's really low. Tackling and awareness in the mid-70s could be worse, but it's not where I'd want him to be. I like to be hitting 80 on all these, so defensively he's a bit weak. But elsewhere he's a bit higher than he sometimes is. You know, he's still got good pace though, even if they reduced that. Physically a bit stronger. The balance is decent for a fullback. The stamina's great. On the ball, yeah, the tight possession's awkward. He's quite tall. He's about 6 foot for a fullback. Not that tall, but tallish. He's at least got some balance though, but yeah, the tight possession's not great. Ball control dribbling are good for a fullback. Low and lofted pass, I'd like them to hit 80, so they're a bit on the low side for me, although they are sometimes lower on Mendes. What have they done with the skills though? We've lost low lofted pass and long throw, and they've added man marking, that's a good one, and aerial superiority. Interesting. So man marking, interception, aerial superiority, sliding tackle, acrobatic clearance. And when you go forward, you've got your pinpoint crossing, you've got your long range shooting. Soul control is a nice bonus on the fullback. Couple of skill moves. But yeah, man marking is a good one to have alongside interception. And aerial superiority is interesting because they have boosted his jumping and his physical. So physically and aerially stronger than normal. That is good. But yeah, I just... I don't know. Those defenses for me are the real deal breaker for me. I don't want my fullback to be defensively weak. It's important that you've got more defensive ability on a fullback. So... that kind of kills it a bit for me. If you look at his GP card, what's interesting is that overall, depending how you train him, he's not as good. But if you train him up with the auto allocation, he does have more speed and acceleration. But if you take the points away from speed and acceleration on his GP card and you put them elsewhere, he's actually comparable to this. He's not far off it at all. If you take that GP card and you train him, and you try to train him as close to this as you can get pretty close. So... yes, they've added man marking, aerial superiority, and yes, this is still better than GP card, whatever you do. But if you do take the GP card and try and match this one, I think it's close enough that you don't really need this one, to be brutally honest. So, does that make this a bad card? No, it is a good card. It's very usable. He's got a lot of qualities. Certainly athletically, he's got a lot of qualities, and he's a bit better than he is sometimes down the left. But defensively, he's just not strong enough for me. And like I say, you can make the GP card pretty close to it, in my opinion, even if the rating's not as high. So... yeah, slightly disappointing version of Nuno Mendes, even though it's still objectively a pretty strong left back. And I wouldn't touch centre back or left midfield because I don't think he's got enough going forward. Certainly with the low and lofted pass and centre back, I mean, you can't defend, can he? So yeah, it could have been better. It's still a good card, but yeah, a bit of a disappointing one. So there is your Champions League Player of the Week pack. And similar to the regular Player of the Week one, it's, you know, there's some decent cards in there, but it's just not really exciting. I think that Yıldız for a lot of people is probably a decent card. I don't think Hatate or Debast are that great unless you're fans of their teams. Tielemans, yeah, he's got some qualities, but not an amazing card. Endrick, it's probably a lot of people will be quite excited to get the card if you don't already have a feature version of him. It probably comes down to the playing style though, like I say. And if I'm picking between this one and the one that's in the current Spanish League pack, I'm picking the Spanish League pack one because you can train it. So yeah, still going to be an exciting card for some people though. The Endrick card, Vanderson. Pretty usable attacking fullback, even if he's nothing special. Yann Sommer lacks reach, but outside of the reach, he is a good shot stopper. Olise for me is probably the pick of the pack. I think that's a good card. If I do spin this pack, that's the one I'd want. I think it could be a pretty useful right winger. Looks pretty nice. Konaté, if you like the destroyer playing style and you want a version of Konaté who's a beast in the air, happy days. That's what you're going to get. For a lot of people, that could be a very nice card to pick up. Mendes, as I've just been talking about, I just don't think he's that great. I think he's too weak defensively, and I don't think he's that much better than his GP card, to be brutally honest. And then Griezmann, I think it probably just comes down to whether you've already got a good version of him. If you've already got a good Griezmann, you don't need it. But if you don't have a good version already, that is certainly a good card. So yeah, there's one or two very decent cards in there, but I think on the whole, like the regular Player of the Week pack, it's just not particularly exciting, if I'm brutally honest. And just before I finish up, I did mention in the beginning of the video this morning when I reviewed the regular Player of the Week pack that they have added a player to the eFootball points store, amazingly. I just want to remind you, we're towards the end of September. Your points will be expiring in 4 days and 9 hours as I speak from now. So yeah, you basically got a few days left on some amount of points, possibly. Maybe not everyone, depends how many points you got and how regularly you pick them up. But do check that just in case, because if you've got some points expiring, you will need to use them up, and there's a couple of players in there. So just thought I'd remind you of that. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully you found this video interesting. Let me know who you've spun. If you spun the Champions League pack, let me know what you think of the pack. Don't know when the next video will be, but there'll either be a live stream or another review of some kind over the next few days, hopefully. So hopefully I'll be seeing you soon. Cheers for watching. As always, take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.